Project management concepts may seem tough at times, but not to worry. You have a coach who makes it as easy as ABC. Here he is to set things straight for you. Your friend, Phil.
Hello my friends, welcome to today's daily drill. Today we're talking about the topic on our daily drill, schedule management. Remember, the purpose of this series of drills is to get those students of mine up to speed with the different processes in each knowledge area. We've covered integration, we've covered scope. Now it's time for us to cover schedule. So let's go very quickly to the first one. It's known as plan schedule management. Every process that starts off the knowledge areas pretty much has a process in planning, except integration and stakeholder management, which have one in initiating. But all the others typically have a first one in planning, and that is plan X management, where X is a knowledge area name. So plan scope management, plan schedule management. This is a second one like that we're taking a look at. And in plan schedule management, just like the other ones, we get a knowledge area name management plan. In this case, it's a schedule management plan. Let's call it your SIMP. Your SIMP then becomes an input to the next process, which is known as define activities. And this is where you're creating a list of all the things that need to be done. It doesn't need to be in order. Sometimes you could choose to put them in order, and in that case you would be going to the next process, which is called sequence activities. And sequence activities is where we actually take this list and we put it in the order that things need to occur in, and we also observe the relationships, 1 and then 2, and things such as that. Get the picture? Good. After we have sequenced the activities, the next thing to think about here is something known as estimate activity durations. Now, I want to point out a few of the outputs we get from these before we rush along. From define activities, you're going to get the activity list, activity attributes, and the milestone list. Okay? And as usual, if you go to your favorite book, the PMBok guide, okay, you observe in 6.2 that what we did in 6.1 is an implicit input. Don't forget that. So you have under your project management plan on page 183, the schedule management plan. You see that going in? And then if you go to sequence activities, which is 6.3, you see the output of 6.2 going into 6.3. So this is on page 187. You can see the activity list, activity attributes, and the milestone list. These ones right here, you can see them all going into sequence activities. Okay. So from sequence activities, your major output is project schedule network diagram. And that project schedule network diagram is going to help you understand the sequence of things and what should happen first, what should happen next, and ultimately this is going to affect the grand scheme of your project. Now, while you do not see this going into estimate activity durations, you will eventually see it when you get to the next process, which is develop schedule. So let's go on down to 6.5 because I do want to explain this sequence here. So while we do not have a direct link between sequence activities and EAD, it is important in the grand scheme of things because when we finally get down here to develop schedule, we should consider the project schedule network diagrams that we are creating here. So we've got this loop. We've got project schedule network diagrams. All right, let's make it smaller so you can see it. You see that loop over there? The project schedule network diagrams are going into develop schedule, but so are the durations that we get from here. So we have the duration estimates, the DEs, that goes into develop schedule. All right, so just take a look at develop schedule and you can see the duration estimates are going in. But there's one more thing to be aware of. This is where it gets a little bit more convoluted. So if you take a look at estimate activity durations on page 195, what do you see? You can see the resource assignments, okay? You can see the project team assignments, and you can also see the resource requirements. So there's a loop from outside of this knowledge area, which is important, and this is estimate activity resources, and we have the resource requirements. Resource requirements going into estimate activity durations. There's one more loop I want to show you. So let's go on back to page 187. There is one more important loop that you should be aware of. And that is right here. When you are sequencing activities, you should consider anything assumed. And therefore, the develop project charter process gives you the assumption log. And the assumption log is considered when you are sequencing activities. So, my friends, you can see how the picture is unfolding. We have one more to talk about, and it's very straightforward. The final one to talk about here is none other than control schedule. And in control schedule, what you're doing is you're monitoring and controlling the schedule. You're checking to see if things are what they should be. Did you start at the right time? Did you end at the right time? And did everything happen as it should? And if the answer is no, it didn't happen as it should, then you need to do something to get your project back on track. All right? And there you have it, my friends. 6 processes in schedule management. Plan schedule management, define activities, sequence activities, estimate activity durations, develop schedule, control schedule. Now, when you think about control schedule and when you think about control scope, there is something I want you to be aware of. And what I want you to be aware of is this. Monitoring and controlling processes, they typically, I'm not saying all of them, typical, right? They typically are going to give you a change request. They typically are going to give you an update. They typically are going to give you a project document update. I'm not saying all of them. I'm saying typical, right? They'll give you a project document update, and all of those outside integration, they will give you a WPI, okay? And I'll just say typical outside integration. Just be aware of that, okay? And again, typical outside of integration, you have work performance data going in, you have project management plan going in, typically, all right? So as you take a look at all the monitoring and controlling processes outside of integration, look for the commonalities. I'm not saying it's all of them, okay, but it's majority of them. All right, take a look at how all of these little pieces are either going into the process or coming out of the process, and use this understanding, because when you're monitoring and controlling the project, you want to monitor and control it from all of the knowledge areas. Okay, and you can see over there we got work performance data going in, but we have WPI coming out, because we want to analyze the work performance data from the angle of that knowledge area, from the perspective of that knowledge area. And it's not uncommon that all of these updates, all of these PDUs that you can see, project documents updates, project management plan updates, change requests, it's not uncommon. So I'm not saying it's all of them, but it's a general theme. Change requests, PMPU, PDU, WPI coming out of most of them. Now, when you get to integration itself, when we're talking about monitoring and controlling processes in integration itself, it's different. And there are a few things I just want to highlight here. If you are in integration, bear in mind monitor and control project work is the only process where you get WPI coming in and the only process where you get WPR coming out. And perform integrated change control is the only process where you have change requests coming in and really the change log, which is part of project documents updates. Okay, so change requests going in, change log coming out, and you also have the approved change requests coming out possibly. Okay, when you think about how these processes are special, you've got cost forecast and schedule forecast going into monitor and control project work. And of course, as a tool and technique, you have change control tools. So as you go through these processes, my friends, you need to remember there are some special features of the knowledge areas, special features of the process groups. I wish I could go on and on making all these videos, but I would advise you to subscribe to the channel so that as soon as I go live with another video, you will know about it. Okay? So keep staying tuned to the channel. And don't forget, if you're getting ready for the exam and you feel you need some help, some coaching, some training, I want to encourage you to go on down to Praizion.com and sign up for training. We've got a 40-day program going on that could help you. Thank you, my friends. Take care and bye for now.